back to Movin' Right Along, a Muppet movie podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. This used to be the podcast where we watched The Great Muppet Caper 2 minutes at a time and talked about it a lot. But we're done with The Great Muppet Caper. But I'm still your host, Anthony Strand.
And I'm still your other host, Ryan Rowe.
And joining us today is a very special return guest. Who are you, guest?
Hi, I'm Eric Brown from the Tough Pigs forums. It's
true. It's all true. And Eric is joining us today to talk about minutes 1 through 94 of The Dark Crystal. In these minutes, single shines the triple sun, what was sundered and undone becomes whole, the two made one, by Gelfling hand, but not by none. Yes, Eric, what?
Oh, no, I was going to say I only watched the first 2 minutes. So.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
We weren't clear on the concept of this episode.
Oh, darn.
Oh, see, and that's something we really should talk about up front, I think, is I don't think either one of us had it in us to try to do this movie 2 minutes at a time.
No, like I think Ryan we talked about it very briefly, but no. I think the Trial by Stone podcast may have already done that, but yeah, I don't think we could have made it through that.
Yeah, and actually we should give them a shout out for listeners who are fans of the movie. It's a very in-depth Dark Crystal podcast.
Yes, they've covered everything.
Right. So we're gonna keep it a little more general today. We're just kind of talking about our general thoughts about the movie. It is a very important part of Jim Henson's career, one of the 3 feature films he directed. So we didn't want to leave it out entirely, but we are also going to try to take it in 1, maybe 2 if it goes long. So we're going to start up front by talking about. I just want to talk about what is your history with this movie? Do you remember the first time you saw it? How do you feel about it? Like, what are your feelings about The Dark Crystal? Eric, I'll start with you.
I saw it in the theaters when it came out. So I was 10. And I loved it.
I bet it's a lot. I bet it's very impressive theatrically. I mean, there's so much visual.
Yeah, I mean, just seeing it up on a huge screen. I haven't seen it on a big screen like that since 82. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Loved it. When I don't remember if I ever got it on VHS, but when the DVD was released, I bought the DVD, despite the fact that I did not own a DVD player yet.
Awesome.
So I bought the DVD player, I think a few months after that, and popped in the movie and watched it, so I was very happy about that. Yeah, it was actually like when the DVD came out, it was fairly early in the DVD era.
Yeah, I remember paying $30 for it at Suncoast.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So that tells you how long ago it was.
Well, Suncoast was always more expensive too.
Right, but it was a single disc too, and it was still $30.
Yeah.
I mean, even at Suncoast, you're buying a one disc DVD, you're paying $15-$20 a lot of times. So, anyways, go on, Eric.
Yes, but it is the special edition DVD. Contains the World of the Dark Crystal, making of special, deleted scenes, original language track scenes. So it is a very nice DVD. Yeah,
it is, and I want to get into some of that extra textual stuff a little later.
Yeah,
too.
So yeah, I've just always loved it. I just thought it was an amazing film, an amazing look. There are just shots of plants and animals in this movie that I could just sit and watch over and over. And Skeksis are amazing. They're such great characters, and so yeah, just always loved it. Yeah. What about you guys?
Awesome. How about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm actually really glad we're talking about this up front, because I think that's important for the sort of context of how we're talking about it for the rest of the time. Mm-hmm. I think the first time I saw it, I'm pretty sure it was on TV, and it must have been like the first network TV broadcast. And my parents taped that, so I had this taped from TV, and I would rewatch it in my childhood. And I always just sort of assumed, like, oh, this is a movie that Jim Henson made, so it must be a good movie. And then I got older and I started sort of viewing media more critically. And then I discovered that there were some Muppet fans who actually didn't think it was a good movie. So I sort of turned against it for a while, where I was like, oh, actually, it's cool to say that this movie isn't good.
Well, you say some Muppet fans, but I remember specifically our friend Danny Horn, who was actually on our last episode, had it in his bio on the Tough Pigs forum under political views. It was like, I don't like the Dark Crystal or Labyrinth, or something. So
yeah, I mean, he obviously was one of the most vocal about that.
Right.
Dislike both movies? Yeah.
Yeah, but I think like for young fans like us, it was like, well, if Danny doesn't like it, maybe we shouldn't like it. Maybe I should think what Danny thinks. You know?
A little bit. And also just realizing for the first time, like, oh yeah, actually the story's not that good. So, so just maybe overreacting in that direction. But now I'm sort of in the middle, I guess. It's not a good story, and there are some major problems with the main character. But it's impossible for me now not to just appreciate the artistry of it. And obviously, Jim Henson and his colleagues put so much effort into it, and it was such a labor of love for them. So I do find a lot to appreciate on the screen when I watch it now.
Sure, me too.
I can't argue against your criticisms, but I still love it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll be the negative Nancy here today then, because I do agree with you guys that it looks great. Like visually, it's spectacular. I love just like having it on while I'm doing something. Like working on having the Dark Crystal on while I'm paying my taxes or whatever. But I cannot pay attention through this entire movie.
Well, no, when I was rewatching it for this, I was definitely kind of looking periodically to see how much time was left. I did get to a point where it's like, okay, you've impressed me enough with your technical prowess. Let's get this to the end of it.
Right. Well, while I was rewatching it for this, I actually cleaned my entire living room.
Yeah.
Because it was like, well, I got to do that sometime. Okay. But I will say, I went into it. I hadn't watched this since the TV show came out. I'm talking about Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance, of course,
right.
Which I loved. I did not expect to like it because, like I said, I'm not that fond of the movie, and I loved it. I ate up all 10 episodes. I have a T-shirt with Deet on it. I love it.
Deet rocks. And
so she's the best. So I went into it kind of being like, oh, now that I love the Dark Crystal world, maybe I'll like this movie more. But instead, I just wished I was watching the show.
Yeah, I do think the show made me appreciate the world a little bit more, just because it kind of fills it out some. Right. But
well, I just think and I don't feel great saying this about something that Jim Henson poured his heart and soul into. Right, like this movie was a real labor of love for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the TV show, made by a bunch of people who are not Jim Henson, like for me, takes everything that is good about the movie, discards everything bad, and adds a whole bunch more good. you know? So it's like, I prefer it so greatly, but it's like the bones of what I liked are here, and it's fun to watch for that reason. But man, I just don't care about this story at all.
Right. The show is a much more compelling and entertaining, piece of media.
Yeah, I thought so. So should we get into the characters? Do we want to talk about Jen first off? Our hero.
Might as well get it over with.
Yeah.
So I want to say up front that I know Jim Henson has said this in interviews at the time, that like he thought it would be distracting if he voiced Jen, which is a character that he performed. And I guess it would be. But man, like if this movie was exactly the same, but Jen sounded like Ernie, I would care so much more about him automatically.
What if he sounded like Nigel?
I agree with Jim. I think his voice doesn't work for Jen.
Do you think Stephen Garlick's voice work? Whatever. That's not right. What is his name? Stephen Garling?
No, it's Garlick with a K.
Garlick with a K.
But
Do you think his voice works for Jen, Eric?
It's okay.
Yeah, I just find him very like flat and bored sounding.
I wonder how much of that is the script, though.
Yeah, I'm sure that's right.
I never thought about it. I do think that Jim's instinct was correct, that it would be distracting if it was one of his voices, but I never thought about would it be better if it were a different actor. But yeah, you might be onto something there.
Yeah. But I think you might be right that it's just, I mean, the movie gives him all this, like, I don't know what I'm doing. My master told me to do a thing, and I don't know if I can do a thing narration. And it's,
yeah, I think they're going for a version of the hero's journey, but it's just like he never becomes that heroic until maybe the very last minute.
Right.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
The part that always makes me laugh out loud is when he's sort of gazing off toward the beginning of his journey, and he says, "I'm not ready to go alone." And then it's like 2 seconds pass, and he says, "All right, alone then."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I really mean is that the movie would be better if it focused on Kira, who is a much more dynamic character.
I think the movie would be better if Jen were a better character.
Right. Well, that's true.
I mean, the TV show, you've got 3 leads, all of them great. And it's just, yes, I will definitely admit that Jen is not as good as Kira. But I don't think focusing it on Kira is a solution. I think making Jen a better character is what would fix it.
I guess having two good leads would be better. That's right.
Yeah, I think it would have also been better if we had been following both Jen and Kira from the beginning. I know part of there's a whole surprise when Jen first discovers Kira and learns that there's another Gelfling out there. But I think it would still be satisfying for us to follow 2 Gelflings who both think that they're the last one, and we know that they're not the last one until they meet each other. And then, we would have gotten to know Kira a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be a different movie, though.
It would, yeah.
It would also be a longer movie.
A little bit, yes.
So, and like, I don't know. One of the things that I really love about Kira, obviously, I love her design more than Jen's, for one thing. I think she's just a much more appealing puppet.
Oh, it's interesting because, one of the things that Wendy Froud said was trying to get a female character was a little hard. Well, actually, she was more specific when they were going for trying more animalistic versions of the Gelflings. She was saying it's a lot harder to get a female animalistic character. Once they decided, they wanted to go more human. I guess it became easier to make that female.
Yeah, aren't some of those early prototype puppets like they have antennas and stuff?
Some of them are furry faces.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
Yeah, they tried the whole range, trying to find, and apparently, Wendy would sculpt things up and show them to Brian Froud and Jim Henson, and they would make some comments, and sometimes Jim's was just like, no, something different. And then she'd go back and do something different, and it took a while to finally get Brian Froud and Jim Henson to really agree that that's what we want.
It's funny. Someone pointed out that Cantus on Fraggle Rock is basically what Jim Henson was like in the 80s. Just like showing up to say cryptic things. And that, just like telling her something else, is so Cantus, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, I love that. So, obviously, Jen and Kira are not the only characters in this movie. So that's another thing I just wanted to talk about. Who are your favorite characters beyond the 2 main Gelflings?
Well, the Chamberlain, of course.
Great one. Why?
He's just a fun character. He's sleazy and underhanded and just a really fun villain.
Yeah, he has the most personality of any of the Skeksis.
Yeah, opposed to like the Gartham Master, the general, who's just big and death to Gelflings.
He just kind of growls. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I definitely think Simon Pegg did an excellent job with the Chamberlain in the TV show.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's wild that's famous actor Simon Pegg and not Barry Dennen, the same person.
Yeah.
Who plays him in The Dark Crystal. Because it sounds exactly the same. It's wild.
I guess we don't know at what point in the creative process that came in, do we? Like, was that in the script? Was that
Yeah, I don't know.
something they came up with when they were dubbing it? I don't know. But yeah, it really does. It sticks with you. It's a great little character thing.
I don't know. It's because Frank Oz performed that character.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, he puppeteered the Chamberlain.
It seems like something he might have come up with.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm not basing that on anything, any knowledge. It feels very Frank Oz-ish.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be.
It feels like Animal or Cookie Monster or something.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. So, any other characters you wanted to talk about, Ryan?
Well, Agra is a great character.
Yeah.
She's
my favorite too.
Yeah, you mentioned Cantus earlier. Agra is a little bit like Cantus too in some of her, like, she's gonna help Jen find the crystal shard, but she's gonna be as cryptic as possible about it. When Jen tells her that his master, he tells her his master sent him on this quest, and Agra says, "Where is he? Around here?" Jen says, "He's dead," and she kind of looks around and says, "Could be anywhere then."
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That feels a little bit like Cantus and a little bit like Jim. It kind of feels like that's his, that kind of fits in with his philosophy.
Yeah. I also love the design of Agra. Like, that's such a hideous puppet. She's so ugly in the best way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think it was either Jim Henson or Frank Oz that said she's so ugly she's beautiful.
Oz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Frank said that. Who also performed her, by the way.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because that's the thing is, like, I mentioned Jim doing Jen earlier. If you leave Frank Oz's voice in as Agra, it's just Yoda, right? Like, I don't think you can release a movie in 1982 with, like, a weird puppet mentor voiced by Frank Oz.
Yes.
Yeah, there are some clips in that making of documentary where you hear his Agra voice, which is pretty funny.
Sure, the entire scene with Frank's voice is on the DVD.
Right, it's part of the work print material, right?
Yeah,
I remember right.
Yeah,
that's cool. The device of Agra's eyeball is also a very cool idea.
How she can, like, throw her eyeball.
Well, she can see out of it while she pulls it out of her face and she can just move it around, and even when it's on a table and she's locked in a cage several feet away, she can still see out of it. Right,
which they reused in Toy Story 3. Mrs. Potato Head does the same thing.
All right.
Yeah,
Agra, really good character, really fun. She was about to explain everything when the Gartham showed up.
I know those. Speaking of which, well, I guess we don't want to talk about, like, creatures yet, but do we consider Fizzgig to be a character?
Sure,
I think so.
Because I think he's the greatest. I mean, I think Fizzgig is, like, the most adorable little guy.
Yeah,
amazing performance by Dave Goelz.
Dave Goelz, yeah. Who, again, talking about the TV show, Dave Goelz came back. I think only worked on the one episode to perform a Fizzgig with an eye patch.
Yep.
Yes, when it was established that Fizzgig is the name of the whole species.
Yes.
Yeah, which I'm not crazy about, frankly, because it just seems like that's his name. Like, that's what Kira has named him.
There have been a couple of Muppet dogs named Dog, so why not a puppet Fizzgig named Fizzgig?
I suppose so.
Maybe Kira's just not that imaginative.
Yeah.
Or maybe there are no Fizzgigs left. Maybe they got wiped out by the Skeksis too.
Oh, buddy.
But there probably are. Don't worry.
Yeah, maybe her coddling mom, like, handed her Fizzgig, and Kira said, "What's this?" And she said, "Fizzgig." And so she just thought it was the name of that particular creature.
That's what the name of the animal is. Yeah.
Not the name of the species. So there you go.
Right.
I've watched this with other people who are seeing it for the first time a number of times, and the moment where Jen is in that forest or swamp and he's like, he hears a noise and then he's creeping up slowly on that, it's like a hole in a log, and everything is very quiet, and then suddenly Fizzgig pops out of that hole going, "Ah!" That's great to watch with people who are seeing it for the first time, because they are very startled and jump right off the couch sometimes.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. He's the greatest. So we should. I want to talk about the podlings here too.
Oh yeah.
Every time I watch this movie, when they go to the podling village, it's like they have entered Fraggle Rock.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's exactly like the designs are different, but like they're singing, they're all having a good time. They live underground.
Yeah, they have these little cave rooms that they're all kind of poking their heads out of.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it feels, and then of course that becomes horrifying because of what the podlings all start getting their essence drained, and it's like Gobo and Red are getting their essence drained.
Oh no!
But, well, you know what I mean? Like that's where that analogy becomes horrifying, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh yeah, they're at Fraggle Rock. Oh no!
The
Wander
Fraggles are
McMooch
lucky they
wouldn't
only
do
had to
this.
deal with Gorgs.
And Wander McMooch.
Yes. Wander McMooch would have drained their essence if he had been able to figure out how to.
He would have. That's true. That's true. Hey, remember when Wander McMooch went to Scrooge's nephew Fred's dinner party? All right.
Yeah.
That was great.
Do you guys watch Stranger Things?
Yeah.
I gave up after once Paul Reiser showed up. I checked out.
Well, did you notice then, Eric?
I'm not kidding. I've seen the first 2 episodes of season 2, and then I was like, "This is too much Paul Reiser," and I stopped watching. Go on, Ryan.
Did you notice in that one episode? I forget. One of the kids was trying to get the other ones to play Dungeons and Dragons with him, and he started playing music, and it was this song from the Podling Village.
Oh.
I don't think I heard or saw anyone on the internet point that out at the time, but as soon as I heard it, it was like, oh, I know this music. Where do I know it from? And it was the Podling song.
Huh.
I'm sure I must have recognized it at the time, but I don't remember that.
Yes, you probably did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you know who we haven't mentioned at all yet? Who no one has mentioned? The Mystics.
The Mystics.
They look cool. They move cool.
They have no personality.
Yeah, I can't like I can look at the Skeksis and go, okay, that's the ornamentalist and that's the gourmand and that's the ritual master. I look at the Mystics and I'm like, which one is which?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, even the designs are all very, very similar.
Right. Well, and it feels like a missed opportunity, and it also, for me at least, kind of makes the ending less exciting. Like less interesting that they're all one species. Like I feel like the TV show, again, we keep talking about the show, but like they keep bringing up the parallels between one and the other, you know, I guess because the audience already knew the twist, but here it's just kind of like, oh, they were the same species. Oh, all right.
Yeah. It is sort of revealed to us, like when the Emperor Skeksis and the Master Mystic die at the same time, I guess we don't necessarily realize if we're seeing it for the first time that they have to die at the same time.
Right. Although I feel like in retrospect, the scene in the middle where one of them dies, I don't remember which one.
Yeah, I think it's when the scientist falls down the shaft and then one of the Mystics disappears. Before
that, when Jen stabs the Chamberlain with the shard, and he goes, "My hand!" And then they cut to the other Mystic whose hand is bleeding. And he says, my hand.
But he says it even more slowly than that.
He just says
yes.
That's true. That's true. They talk like Ents, too. Which just makes me wish I was watching Lord of the Rings.
I also noticed this time there are a few shots where I think they're shot in a wide shot because the Mystics are not moving their mouths.
Is that right?
Like when Jen first sets off, when he's leaving the little whatever, like the Mystic hippie commune.
Yeah.
And they're all like standing in a circle, and you just sort of see a wide shot of all of them. And you hear the voice of one of them saying something like, "Go, Jen, take your belongings and go on your journey." But you don't actually see that Mystic's mouth moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was particularly because they redid that dialogue later.
Oh, the Mystics have their own language also? Yeah, that makes sense.
No, the Mystics, they always spoke Gelfling, if you can hear the air quotes around that word.
Is that English?
Yeah, English.
Okay.
So the Mystics would speak English, I think. I've never seen like an original scene with the Mystics speaking a different language.
Okay.
So it was always the Skeksis had their own language. But we'll talk about that when we get to that.
Are there any other characters either of you want to talk about before we move on to visual aspects?
We've got the Gelflings, we've got Agra, we've got the Mystics, we've got the Skeksis, we've got the Podling, we've got Bizgig. I think we talked about all the characters.
Do we consider the Gartham to be characters?
I think the Gartham are a perfect segue into talking about design.
I like that.
Because they're so cool looking.
Yes!
They are very cool.
Here's the thing, though. Do any of us have something else to say besides they're cool looking? Because
they're very scary.
Oh yeah, the shot where Jen is going through the underground cave and he falls down into the dark room, and then the lights of their eyes appear and the clicking, clacking of their hands and feet start up, and it's just like, oh no. So yeah, they're scary.
Yeah, they're super cool, and even like again to bring up the TV show, but I guess spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched it and is listening to this. The final shot of the TV show is the Skeksis unveiling their new creation, the Gartham.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
It's crazy, but it's also like, even if you haven't seen the movie, it's just kind of like, oh man, what is that thing? You know, because like they knew that it would be like the money shot, whether you've seen the movie or not, because it moves. You know,
and also just the fact that it was the show revealed that they took two existing species and like in this sort of unholy playing with nature way, spliced them together to create the Gartham. Mm-hmm. Just made it that much more terrifying.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's actually one of the things that bums me out, that it doesn't sound like they're doing a second season, you know?
I don't know. I guess we would have heard by now if Netflix had decided to do another one, but boy, I really hope there's still a chance.
Yeah. But you know what else are really cool looking? The Landstriders.
Oh yeah.
Those guys. And of course, I mean, I'm sure you guys have both seen, but one of the best things about that World of the Dark Crystal documentary is when they show the guys on stilts just like hopping around practicing their Landstrider moves. It's so great. Yeah. It's so oh wow, what an amazing thing.
And I actually didn't I forgot to look this up to verify, but and maybe we talked about this during the credits of The Great Muppet Caper, that it just so happened that some of the puppeteers working on both movies were stilt walkers, so they kind of designed the characters because they had stilt walkers on the staff. Does that sound right? So
the Landstriders were originally described in the script, I think, as like more spidery. So the original ideas that they were working with was some kind of six-legged creature, and so the various they brought in various mimes and people like that to play the mystics and other characters like that, and so they started working on trying to get this six-legged character working, or a multi-legged character, and then one of them basically said, well, what about stilts? I've got these, I do these stilt things, and stilt, you can move pretty fast on stilts, and so he brought in the stilts, and everyone saw them and said, "Yeah, that works great." So yeah, it was definitely the design of the Landstriders came from one of the performers bringing in their stilts to show off as an idea for how the Landstriders could work.
Yeah,
that is, and that's one of those things that like just the magic of practical effects, Yeah. Like now none of that would happen because they just wouldn't worry about it, and they just design them to look however they wanted, and it'd be a CG character.
They would just animate it all.
Yeah. And it's so like, I mean, I'm an old man. Like I talk about how much I love practical effects all the time. But it's just like there's just something magic about them. And like that's exactly why. Like you watch a movie with CG effects and it's just like, oh, that's a CG effect. Okay. Mm-hmm. I know how they did it. And you watch something like this and it's like, how did this happen?
Yeah, they had to physically fit these puppeteers into this weird creature puppet costume thing that looks kind of like a giraffe and kind of like a bat and kind of like a catfish.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah. And there was only one shot where I could see the string that I guess was like a safety harness. So they did a very good job of hiding those too.
Yeah, they didn't have they couldn't erase them digitally back then.
No, not quite.
Right. I guess they could have painted them out and maybe did,
Yeah, I don't know what the process for that would have been back then.
In some frames,
back then it was. Sure. Yeah, I was reading in the book The Dark Crystal, The Ultimate Visual History. Plug, good book by Cassine Gaines. They were talking about how there were certain, they said in the documentary it says they always had a safety cable. In the book it says they didn't always have a safety cable. There were times when it was just impossible to hide the safety cable, and when that happened, they went without.
Yeah, that's sometimes you prioritize art, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. Wow, that is wild.
Mm-hmm.
So, any other favorite design or puppetry elements you guys want to talk about? Eric, start with you.
Let's just talk about that scene where the morning after Agra's observatory is burned down. We have this just several minutes shot of all these different creatures and plants and animals. And I just love the little running guy who runs along and jumps and tries to catch some insects, and then he runs into this little thing, and a mouth closes on him, and all these little mushroom things go. Bloop,
Yeah,
bloop, 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 bloop.
Yeah, that sequence is one of the highlights.
Fun little story there. Yeah,
I like the little things that look like flowers, and then they kind of take off like they're, I don't even know what. They just kind of spin and fly up in the air.
Yeah, those were actually shot in reverse, and they were dropped down.
That makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Those bloop 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 things. Those are the same things that like ate Rian and the Hunter in Age of Resistance, right?
I think so.
I forget what they called them there.
And then
I don't remember.
Somebody listening right now is telling us what they're called, but we can't hear them.
Yeah.
Great. Please email us. Moving right along at toughpigs.com.
Yes.
And then I noticed something while rewatching the movie. There are always little crawlies running around the castle.
So I think aren't those the little wind-up toys that they talk about?
Yeah.
I think it's in the behind-the-scenes documentary where like they just bought a ton of these like things you would just get at a toy store for $1. These little fuzzy wind-ups, or maybe they added the fuzz to them to make them look more otherworldly.
I'm sure.
So they would just like wind them up off camera and then just let them kind of run around the frame.
Yeah, definitely makes the castle look more lived in and real. They have these things running around. And I've also been able to notice more of them as home media has gotten better. Yeah,
like I don't think I ever really noticed them when I was watching my pan and scan VHS taped off TV. But then on DVD, I was able to notice more of them, and on Blu-ray, I noticed even more of them.
Sure, yeah. Speaking of the pan and scan VHS, sorry to bounce back a little bit, but I meant to bring this up earlier, talking about history with it. The VHS had the opening narration part, like the prologue, in widescreen with like thatched bars on the tops and bottoms. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, and that was because of the credits, right? Like the credits wouldn't have fit if it was cropped.
Right. Yeah, and I remember thinking that was like the most exciting thing about this movie when I was a kid.
Were you disappointed that the whole movie didn't have those bars?
It kind of was, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I forgot to say earlier, I didn't see this movie until I was in high school. I grew up with Labyrinth, and this one I didn't see until I became like Mr. Online Muppet fan guy, But I bought the VHS at that time.
Did you buy the VHS with the clamshell case?
Clamshell VHS used, on eBay.
Yeah, it had that. I always thought that art was weird. It was kind of cartoony. It was this like hand drawn or painted artwork that made it kind of look like it might be an animated movie. Like
the Skeksis has like a very like Land Before Time sharp tooth look to it.
On
the front of that case.
Accurate. By the way, the carnivorous plants are called gobbles.
Oh, right.
Gobbles.
Yes.
Awesome.
I don't know if they had that name before the Age of Resistance existed, but there you go.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I'm sure that they say do they say Thra in the movie?
No.
I don't.
They don't say it, right?
Yeah. They never say Thra in the movie.
And so like I was not at all aware that that's what the world of this movie was called until the TV show came out. Like, I'm sure it's in like, you know, production materials and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I knew until maybe like the Henson Company started kind of pushing it more as a nostalgia thing when they started the Dark Crystal website and more of this material became available to us. And also in several of the early script drafts, they referred to it as Mithra for a long time.
Yeah, it started as Mithra, and then
was it Mithra?
Mithra. So
yeah, that sounds like Mithra.
I would say Mithra, but yeah, at some point it got changed to Thra. But yeah, that was never in the movie.
Right. And then in the show, they say it all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they say it many times per episode, right? Everyone's like, Thra abides. We must save Thra.
Also, I noticed that on the show, they referred to years as trine.
Yes.
Like it's been 1,000 trine, but the voiceover narrator in this does refer to 1,000 years.
Yes.
Right.
But
he's American.
Yes. At the time the movie came out, there was a book that came out called The World of the Dark Crystal by Brian Froud. And it's filled with, you know, a lot of the artwork that Brian Froud made for the movie, but it also has text about the lore of the world. And so there's a large section which is Aughra telling the story of how the Urskeks came to Thra and how the Urskeks were split into two. And so one of the things that always caught me was she would say 999 trine and 1 trine.
I saw that on the Dark Crystal wiki. I was very thrown off by that.
Yes, that's from the World of the Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
It was multiples of 3.
999 and 1.
Yeah.
Well, that's cute, I guess. I mean, it doesn't really scan. Like you don't. I don't think you like think of that as logical. But no, it's like, all right, it's a fantasy world, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like it's sort of trying to reach like a storyteller from the Henson Show storyteller level of cleverness, but maybe it's a little bit too cute.
Yeah, it does sort of sound somewhat like something that John Hurt would say.
Yeah.
It does. You know, John Hurt should have narrated this movie. John Hurt should have been Jen's voice.
Jen would have seemed a lot older.
He would, but he also would have seemed a lot more competent.
Maybe a younger John Hurt.
Oh, speaking of voices, do you mind if I go into this?
Please.
Because we didn't mention this. Although Jim Henson's voice was dubbed over, and Kathy Mullen, who puppeteered Kira, her voice was dubbed over, so she wouldn't sound like Moki, presumably.
Although I think she could sound like Moki, and it would be fine. You know, like even more so than Jim. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
But anyways,
yeah, there are a few characters who are voiced by the performers.
Very few, though.
Yeah, so Steve Whitmire's voice is the voice that we hear from The Scientist. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty much the same as his Marlon Fraggle voice.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an even more deranged Peter Lorre impression. Like, we're going to drain their essence. And then the Emperor, and I think another one of the Skeksis are voiced by Jerry Nelson, but he didn't actually work on the movie.
Yes, correct. The Ritual Master is Jerry Nelson.
Yes.
There you go. It's unmistakable when he just kind of, just that loud voice of his.
Right, like I don't even remember what he says, but it's just like, I come in here for lunch every day. Like,
yes, that's exactly what the Ritual Master said.
Yes,
just bring me a burger.
Just like the Count would say it. I don't know. And then the Emperor voice, I always thought sounds kind of like Scred from the Gort sketches on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah,
the Emperor voice does sound like Scred. Yeah, and honestly, the character that the Ritual Master might sound the most like is Pogborg. Actually, like,
oh yeah,
it's that that very like Junior, you're an idiot. Like, you know.
Yep. Yeah, good call. And then there's a couple characters that have the voice of the puppeteer Brian Meal, who was he was all over Muppet and Henson projects at this time.
Yeah.
Right.
He's the voice of
both
the dying.
He was both Elmo and Telly at this time.
Yes, exactly. He was Telly for a while, like during some of my childhood.
Right.
And the mystic, the dying master mystic, actually kind of sounds like his Telly voice to me.
Huh.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then he's one of the Skeksis as well, I think.
The ornamentalist.
There you go. Do you know the names of all the Skeksis? You seem to be very Skeksy savvy.
Not all of them. The Emperor is Skekso. The Chamberlain is Skeksil.
I actually wrote them all down just to see if it would come up.
The Gartham Master is Skek-Ung.
The only one I know is that the scientist is Skek-Tek, which I think is hilarious.
I think
that's good.
Skek-Na is the ritual master, but
yes. Yeah, all these crazy names are like it's great for those fans who can actually remember them, but like Skek-Ayuk, Skek-Ekt, Skek-Lok, Skek-Ok. It's
Skek-Ayuk is goofy, right?
Yeah. And then all the mystics have names like Ursul, Ursu, Urti, Im, Urza.
Urkul.
Yes, the nerdiest mystic is Urkul.
Did I'm
done.
That.
That's actually why he died. It was because he didn't get any cheese. All right.
Oh no.
Okay. What else? What else about the mystics, Ryan?
I was just talking about the voices, but I think that's all I had. Although I did also have in my notes when they were working on Age of Resistance, or when that came out, Lisa Henson pointed out that the mystics were so hard to perform. Like, they're just so physically taxing on the performers. That was one of the reasons why they did not have much screen time in Age of Resistance.
Right. Which, again, like, I get, but it is kind of too bad that after Age of Resistance, we still don't know that much more about them. Like, except for the one episode where Andy Samberg and Bill Hader are roommates.
Right, which was a new mystic character who was totally different from all the others.
Right. And which is a great episode. It's maybe the best episode.
Oh yeah, that whole the puppet show.
It's great.
Great.
So good. But that
But
doesn't
even
happen
looking
in
at
this.
the other mystic, the archer, I think it was slightly more interesting than the others, just because he was out and about and shooting arrows.
Right. Yeah. So I guess, like, now that we're talking about it, they did make the mystics more interesting than the movie. Just not quite to the same extent as the Gelflings, for example.
And we only saw two of them.
Reasons. Yeah. And when we never see those two at the same time, is it just one puppet? Or no, we do. They show the hunter shows up there, right? They do appear together.
Yes.
Yeah. Eric, there were other things you wanted to say about, like, the work print that's on the DVD and some of that stuff.
So in March of '82, they showed a work of the movie to a preview audience in Washington, D.C. It's been come to known as the work print. I don't know why. I mean, most movies get preview showings and there are changes afterwards, but I don't know why it's called a work print.
Presumably it wasn't quite finished, right?
I think, like, it still has Frank Oz's voice in it and stuff, right? Like,
no, they had.
Okay.
I mean, the movie was supposed to come out in June, I think. So it was mostly done, but the test screening just went horribly. People walked out. People didn't like it, and a big point of it was sort of the most famous thing about it is that the Skeksis did not speak English in the movie and were not subtitled. And the idea
seemed like a great idea at the time.
Yes, because you'd pick up what they were saying through context. They didn't speak as much in that version, and it just didn't work at all. And it's interesting because I rewatched the work print scenes and, like, the trial by stone, and it's like, yeah, I guess you can sort of understand, but it just it was a mistake to do that.
Well, trial by stone doesn't make a lot of sense anyway.
Right. That's what I was just about to say.
Like, isn't it just kind of... doesn't the... it's the general, right? Or the general and the Garth the Master are the same character. Do I have that right?
Well, so in the TV show, there's a character called the General, and the Garth the Master does not appear. So the character in the movie is generally called the General in the movie, and in the end credits, he's listed as the Garth the Master. So I, as a stickler, would generally call him the Garth the Master just to keep him separate from the General from the TV show.
Okay.
But since we're just talking about the movie, you can either one, and people will understand who you're talking about. But yes.
Yeah. But anyway, so they're just like using swords to whack this rock, and doesn't the Garth the Master really only win and break off a piece of it because the two of them have just already struck it really hard with these swords?
Well, I mean, if you see it, they've been hitting that rock for a long time.
Yeah, there are a bunch of cuts on it.
Oh yeah, it's like a lot of cuts. It's.
But what does that mean? They use it like? Does that mean they've done trial by stone without any results?
I don't know. I would guess that, if two Skeksis have a dispute, they can take it out on the stone to decide who is right. And, they've had 1,000 years.
Right. And so it's not necessarily always to decide who's going to be the emperor.
Yeah. I'm sure they must have used it for other things other than deciding who the emperor is. But yeah, right. So the general, he gives it a really big whack and actually breaks the stone, and you can't beat that. So, yeah, I don't know why the Chamberlain thought he could win that.
Oh, so are you thinking like that he could have won even without breaking that big piece off of it?
Well, I'm guessing. I mean, they never explain the rules.
Right.
I'm guessing it's just whoever hits it harder. I don't know how many times they get to hit it.
So it's like one of those things at a carnival to test your strength. If it goes all the way up and rings the bell, you win. Yeah,
I think in this case, they've been hitting this rock for 1,000 years to decide their issues, and the general comes along and just breaks the rock in half, and it's like, yeah, that pretty much ends the competition. He won.
Yeah, right. I mean, they're all very like.
I mean, the Chamberlain drops his sword. He's
that's pretty. I like that moment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
And then they rip all the Chamberlain's clothes off, and he looks so sickly and pathetic.
He looks even grosser. I was going to say about the preview screening. Before that preview screening, in Jim Henson: The Biography by Brian J. Jones, Michael Frith talks about how Jim showed that scene to him and Jerry Jewell. And I've got the book open here. Jim had excitedly asked the two of them to watch one of the first segments he had edited together, the enormous and loud Skeksis banquet scene that Jim absolutely loved. Frith and Jewell sat in the darkened screening room and watched as the Skeksis cackled and hooted at each other in their own language, a scene that seemed to be going on forever, Frith lamented. What did you think? Jim asked brightly. Jim, there's one thing I just have to say, Frith began slowly. He knew, said Frith. I said, Jim, I have no idea what that scene was about. You've got to have them talk, or at least give them subtitles. So
they didn't even have subtitles at first, right?
Right.
There were no subtitles, yeah.
Wow, yeah,
right.
No, that's
and it's just fascinating to me that, and obviously neither of those guys worked on the movie at all, but two of his closest collaborators watched that scene and were just like, I can't let you do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, so after that disastrous preview screening, the release date was pushed back to December while they started reworking the movie. They ended up, so things they did, they recorded English dialogue for all the Skeksis. They cut about 7 minutes out of the movie, including an entire funeral scene for the emperor and a conversation that Jen has with Urza, one of the mystics, before he leaves. But a bunch of other scenes were trimmed down and re-edited. The narration at the beginning was added. They recast Aughra, which is interesting. They actually had a different actress voicing Aughra and they decided that they wanted to go with something different, so they cast Billie Whitelaw and had her re-record all of Aughra's dialogue.
And she's great.
Yeah. Jen's inner monologue was added. And the final shot of the movie, the white castle in the green valley, that was added later on. Oh. That wasn't in the original work print.
Wow. So that must be in a miniature, but still,
yeah.
They had to go back and shoot that. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. The valley is like, it's actually a shot near, because ILM did the matte shots. And so that's actually a valley near Skywalker Ranch.
Oh,
so
cool.
They just went out and they shot a plate of the valley and then matted the castle in.
Right.
So yeah, it's just some big changes were made to that movie between that the first work print and the final.
Yeah, which is really kind of heartbreaking. That Jim Henson had been working on this movie for, they talk about pre-production started in like 1977, right?
Uh-huh.
Or something.
Yeah.
It's like 5 years from conception to completion.
Yeah.
And after all that time, it's like he has the movie finished and shows it to people, and they're just like, no, this won't do.
Yeah, in the making of special, he's like, this is the thing I'm most proud of.
Yeah.
And
right.
He puts it in front of the world, and they're like,
It's just so different from the Muppet Show.
Yes.
Right. Well, and I guess we'll talk about this later when we get to Labyrinth. But one of the reasons that I've always preferred that movie is that it feels like a synthesis of this sensibility and the Muppet Show sensibility.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like Jim Henson's entire career kind of, made into one project.
But then Labyrinth didn't do as well as The Dark Crystal
at the box office, right?
At the box office.
Yeah, so it was good that they made the changes they did, not only because it resulted in a better movie, but I think we've talked about this on the Tough Pigs forum before. I think it's sort of the conventional wisdom that The Dark Crystal was as big a failure at the box office as Labyrinth, but it really wasn't. It did decently.
Yeah, decently is a good way to describe it.
Yeah, whereas Labyrinth was just like a total bomb.
Yeah.
But
right.
People did come to see this.
I'm looking it up now. Dark Crystal made about $40 million in the US.
Cost 26.
It cost 26, yeah. So it did okay.
And then at some point in the timeline, Lord Lou Grade, was he selling ITC?
So what happened? Studio? Yeah. So what happened was that his company ran into financial difficulty, and Lou Grade got pushed out.
Oh, he got pushed out. It wasn't even his decision.
Yeah, and the new boss had no confidence in the movie, and so Henson actually decided that he was going to buy the movie back from the company, and so despite the fact they spent $26 million on it, and Henson bought it for $15.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because they just needed the money.
Right. Wow. And what I was going to say also is Labyrinth 4 years later made $12 million. So 40 and 12, like it's not even close.
No.
It's wild. And again, like I feel like most people when asked, most Muppet fans at least when asked, would maybe assume the opposite.
Maybe. I think, well, I don't, they both have a lot of, they're both very beloved now.
I think they have different kind of fans.
Yeah.
I there are definitely fans who are not like, diehard Henson fans who love one but not the other.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that covers all of the topics that I had. So, Eric, I'll start with you. Any final thoughts before we close?
There are a couple quotes from The World of Dark Crystal that I thought were really interesting. Two sort of contrasting quotes. So Jim Henson said, with puppets, a puppet, you're working symbolically. A puppet is a symbol of whatever you're trying to portray. So therefore, if you have an evil character going to look totally evil, He can be evil incarnate. There is only the character itself, and so there's a kind of purity to it. I think that's really interesting. Sort of, we're making a movie with no humans, and so we can make all these characters purely themselves. And then producer Gary Kurtz said, I think that probably the biggest minus of working with non-human characters is the realization of how difficult getting anything on film is. With a human actor, you can just place them in front of a camera and tell them where to go or tell them what to look at, and they do it. And they contribute their ability and talents for how they're supposed to perform. With a non-human actors, we're required to orchestrate every movement, every head turn, every eye twitch, every move from side to side. It's just it's the two things fighting against each other. It's with puppets, you get this purity that you don't get with humans, but you also get these difficulties with humans, without humans.
Right. It's so technically challenging.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think it was Warwick Brownlow Pike, who's a puppeteer on the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance.
He played the redheaded paladin. Yeah.
Yeah. He performed the redheaded paladin among many other characters.
Picking out his smallest character on the
most show. Prominently the Chamberlain.
Yes.
And he plays Gonger on Sesame Street also. But I think it was him who said in promotional materials for that show that the challenge is that with a show like this is that you need puppets to do everything and they can't do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's amazing how alive they seem.
Yeah.
Given that
they talked about how they had to,
they can't do anything.
Yeah, they had to, they do extensive storyboarding for the movie, just thousands and thousands of pictures, just so they could go and look at them and go, okay, we can't do that with puppets. We need to rework this scene with new storyboards so that there weren't any surprises when they got to actually filming things.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a few moments that I kind of caught on this rewatch where it did occur to me, wow, there are so many people working on this one shot to make these puppets look like they're alive. Like there's a scene when they're under the Skeksis castle sneaking in. I think they get separated somehow. Uh-huh. Kira is like watching the Skeksis pass by from behind this kind of rocky column.
Right.
And like she's looking side to side, she's looking around, she's trying to make sure that they don't notice her. And I was just thinking like, wow, there's the puppeteer, there's probably another puppeteer maybe controlling the eyes. They had to light this just right so that the lights catch her eyes in such a way that they look organic, like they look like the eyes of a living creature. They had to build this puppet to convince us that it's an actual living thing. And that's just like a 5-second shot. So they had to do that for this entire movie every time.
Right.
Yeah, there's the shot. There's two shots of Kira. I was watching when I was rewatching. I was like, wow, that Kathy Mullen and her crew of co-puppeteers really did some amazing stuff. There's when she's having her essence drained, and the beam hits her, and she recoils in sort of fear, and you can see that. She her head turns to the side, but her eyes stay pointed forward, and she shakes a bit, and I'm like, wow, that's real. And then when she's stabbed and her head just jerks back in pain, I'm like, wow, you feel this woman being stabbed.
Right.
Even though she's just a puppet. They're just dolls wiggling.
Yeah,
right,
that's all they are. Yeah.
Ryan, did you have anything else to add before we're done?
I am looking through. I have a lot of disorganized notes that we haven't gotten to. Did you notice or have you noticed that Jen has some blue hairs on his head?
Yeah.
Yeah, just like Superman.
Why? Because they couldn't print to make it look like he has brown hair?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I never noticed that before. Or maybe I notice it anew every single time I watch it, and then I always forget in between. Did any of the Gelflings in Age of Resistance have blue hair?
Don't remember.
Not any of the main ones.
Yeah, I don't know. So maybe that's what makes Jen so special.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why he gets to be the main guy. Cool.
That's probably why. We didn't talk about Kira's wings, but that's a fun little touch that
Yeah.
female Gelfling have wings.
I really like that. And also a thing that doesn't come up all that much in the TV show. Like, I guess it's hard to have them flying around, but
yeah, they did it a couple times.
There's definitely several, like, Deet flies through her cave, and then when there's the fight between the Madras, that was
oh right, Celadon's like flying over them all, right? Doesn't she?
Yeah,
like,
flies
take
around.
Off? Yeah. Oh, that rules. Celadon rules. What a great show.
Yeah. Now we have to.
Yeah, we should all go back and watch it again after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Little piece of trivia. Do you know why the Mystics have 4 arms?
No.
Because they're very similar to trolls that Brian Froud drew. He definitely took his troll essence and put them into the Mystics, but he didn't want them to be his trolls. So he gave them 4 arms so they wouldn't be trolls.
Huh. Great.
For basically trademark reasons, because he didn't want to lose ownership of his own trolls to the Dark Crystal.
Oh, wow.
That was very clever of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
A couple things I like that we didn't specifically talk about. Agra's orrery set is really cool.
Yeah, I meant to bring that up. That is gorgeous. It's such a
just looks so big, and just all those parts and pieces just swooping around.
Yeah. Apparently during they actually had someone on set whose job was to yell "duck" to Frank Oz when the arm got low.
Oh,
yeah,
awesome.
Good.
And apparently one time he missed it, and one of the arms of the orrery caught Agra's horn and ripped the puppet off of Frank's hand. Yeah.
Oh,
but the puppet was okay, or they fixed it?
They had to fix it, but they fixed it pretty quickly, I think. But yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised that there has never been like a toy or model recreation of that you could purchase. You know, like a...
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's not going to be like an Agra's orrery playset for little kids, but like,
no.
It'd be cool if there was, you know?
Yeah.
No, I think they could sell that to the adult fans, just especially if the parts moved. I don't know if it could be a battery powered thing where they actually, you know, swoop around like they do, but even just a model of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't buy it because I don't have money for it, but I like the idea.
But you would admire it if someone else bought it and you got to look at it.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure if the version in the TV show was CG or not.
I think it was. I don't think they built a whole new one.
Yeah.
That's probably right.
We didn't get into the other filmmakers a lot, other than
we didn't talk about the people who made this. I mean, you spent
Jim
a lot
Henson.
of time talking about them while you're talking about the Great Muppet Caper, because a lot of the same people worked on both movies.
Right.
Yes, and again, it's worth noting that they took a 6-week break in between finishing that movie and starting this one.
Yeah.
Which is like nothing to jump into this, you know, yet another movie, and this one is going to be even harder than the other one.
Right. That was just a warm up, like, for sure.
Yeah, and also like a completely different tone. They're working on this fun musical comedy, and then they have a short vacation, and then they're back for this bleak fantasy world.
So the puppeteers did take time during filming of Great Muppet Caper to rehearse. They maybe one or 2 days a week after filming, they'd go over to it wasn't called the Creature Shop at the time, but the place where they were building stuff, and they'd go and practice with the puppets. So they didn't walk in cold.
Right. That makes sense.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of fun to think about when we see some of these wacky scenes in the Great Muppet Caper. The puppeteers, hours later, were probably doing some of these very serious, dramatic scenes.
Right, except for Jerry Nelson and Richard Hunt, who were just hanging out because they're not in this movie.
Yeah,
they didn't puppeteer on it. I should say Jerry did voices, as we've
right. Yeah,
Richard wasn't involved at all.
Richard was not involved at all, and I feel like it might be because those two were on Sesame Street more.
Maybe
you know at that time they were maybe like back there doing that.
If
I'm
the
not sure.
schedules overlapped, maybe.
Yeah, although I guess Brian Meal worked on this, who was on Sesame Street constantly around that
Oh,
time.
yeah,
So,
yeah. He was all over Sesame Street at that time.
So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, the director of photography, Oswald Morris, the editor, Ralph Kemplin, the production designer, Harry Lang. Just such very, very different projects, but all these guys worked on both movies.
The big new name, I would say, in The Dark Crystal is Sherry Ammett, who was the creative supervisor. So she was sort of running what was basically the Creature Shop. It wasn't called they didn't name it the Creature Shop until after this movie came out, but
and then they realized they could turn that into a new venture to make creatures for other people's movies.
Yeah, but when they started in New York in beginning of 1978, she was sort of in charge of the Creature Group, and she later also was directly responsible for the Mystics, I think. So she was actually like led the teams for 2 or 3 of the Creature Groups, and then was also it's like the overall in charge. And so she had actually worked on the Muppet Show for a while. She's the one who built Barkley for Sesame Street.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So that's sort of her pedigree when she came into this movie.
I like Barkley.
She also was one of the big people on one of the big builder people on Little Shop of Horrors a few years later.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So she continued to work with Frank Oz a short time later. Yeah, I don't know if we specifically said this was co-directed by Jim Henson and Frank Oz. My impression has been that Jim was mostly concerned with the technical aspects and Frank was more concerned with the performance aspects.
That's generally how Frank has described the breakdown. Yeah.
Yeah, Frank is very humble about his contributions to this when it comes up. He just kind of says, well, Jim really directed that movie. It was his movie, and he just asked me to help out.
Yeah.
Right. Although I've always thought it was kind of neat that Frank Oz, in his early directing films, his early films that he directed, each one has fewer puppets than the last, right? Like, this movie is all puppets. Muppets Take Manhattan has a bunch and many humans. Little Shop of Horrors has one puppet character. And then from Dirty Rotten Scoundrels on, 0 puppets. So it's like he was like working his way out of being a puppet director,
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Huh. And then Gary Kurtz was the producer. He had worked on the first 2 Star Wars movies. And then my understanding is that he had a little bit of a falling out with George Lucas and ended up working on this.
So basically, Kurtz went to Henson and said, "Can we get some help on this Yoda guy? And if you do, I'll come help you on this Crystal movie." So that was sort of the deal between the two of them.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
Yeah,
but he didn't work on Return of the Jedi at all.
No,
though.
I don't know why he didn't work on Jedi. But
yeah, I might be jumping to conclusions about any kind of falling out, but. Yeah. For some reason, he didn't return to work on the last Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was also the second unit director for Dark Crystal. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's good for him. And then the screenplay is credited to Jim Henson and David Odell, who was one of the writers on The Muppet Show.
Yes, and who also got special thanks in the closing credits of the Muppet movie.
Oh, yeah. Did we...
As we talked about at that time, yeah.
Did we discover exactly why that was? Did he contribute
I don't
a rewrite?
know.
Or
it sounds like he probably did,
Yeah, maybe just punched up a little.
Right.
But David Odell has talked about how Jim Henson's spirituality influenced the movie and the world of the movie. Mm-hmm. I think this was an afterword in a Dark Crystal comic book collection. He wrote that Jim Henson insisted that people who were working on the movie read this book called Seth Speaks. Mm-hmm. He said, "I was flattered that Jim wanted me to understand his spiritual insights before we collaborated. The book was written by Jane Roberts, a science fiction writer, who one day began channeling Seth. Seth was a multi-dimensional male being outside time and space who dictated monologues on metaphysics through her when she was in a trance. while her husband wrote them down in shorthand. And he said the spiritual kernel of the dark crystal is heavily influenced by Seth, which I find very interesting.
That is so Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim.
I have not read Seth Speaks. I would actually be curious to read it just to see, what kind of vibes I can pick up on that might seem like the Dark Crystal or like Jim Henson's spirituality in general. But I just think that's really interesting.
The mystics are very much Jim's idea of spirituality, oneness with nature and all that.
Yeah, and even so, the last thing I had actually was the Urskeks, which are the beings who show up at the end. They're the combinations of the Skeksis and the mystics.
The Uru. Which is only mentioned once in the movie when the mystics show up in the crystal chamber. One of the Skeksis sees them and shouts, "Uru!" That's the only time where their actual name.
Well, how come they have two names and the Skeksis only have one name?
I don't know.
But yeah, that's sort of like the dual good and evil sides of our spiritual nature. That kind of feels like it would be part of what Jim Henson was thinking about spiritually at the time and philosophically. The Urskeks are so weird looking. They're very tall, and they're just glowy white. And the one who speaks, his mouth doesn't actually move.
Yeah.
So every time I look at him, my brain always initially wants his nose to be his mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm looking at his nose, thinking it's his mouth.
Actually, when we watched this last night, my wife Rosalind, who's been on the podcast before, I was just like, "Oh, those guys are so cool looking," because I think they're super cool looking. And she was just like, "They don't have mouths. Who cares? I don't know where I'm supposed to look."
Yeah, exactly.
But so I like their like weird Groot tree hair. I like that a lot.
They do look like Groot. You're right. Yeah. Yes.
But I what I don't like is when they're actually transitioning from like their separate forms to their single form. Mm-hmm. It's just covered up by like a shaft of white light. So that, which like, I guess how else are they going to do it? But also like, it's not that cool to just see like a giant block of light in front of them so that they can cover up, the actual.
You'd like to see some kind of morphing effect?
Yeah, which I don't know if it's possible in 1982, right?
Yeah, maybe not with this budget.
Unless you do like stop motion or something, right? But
yeah, that would have been cool.
Yeah, but I think that the actual design of the puppet is cool enough that I don't really care that much.
It's interesting because Brian Froud was actually a little disappointed with the Urskeks because he wasn't able to work on it as much as he had hoped. So he sort of felt they were unfinished.
I can see that.
Yeah, they aren't fully realized, I guess.
Right. So, anything else before we close?
I just thought of something.
Go for it.
I have one more memory of encountering this movie as a kid, which was I went into a video store with my parents, and this movie was playing on the TVs around the video store. I guess it had just come out on VHS. And it was the scene where all the mystics raise their heads and they're calling for Jen. They do that. Oh. And then they do, yeah.
Ricola, yeah.
And there was another kid, I guess about my age, I don't know, maybe younger, in the video store, and he thought that was the most hilarious thing. Like, he just cracked up at that.
I love that.
So, yep. I think that's all I have.
All right. Awesome. All right. So that brings us down to the end for today. We will be back again with a couple of more bonus episodes before we start Muppets Take Manhattan. But so keep an eye out for those, listeners. And what, Ryan?
And what is the next bonus episode?
The next bonus episode is The Fantastic Miss Piggy Show.
Ooh.
Yes, I'm very excited to talk about that one because it's super weird and I like it a lot.
I haven't seen that in years. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, the last time I watched it was when I wrote a Tough Pigs article about it 5 years ago. So I'm excited to watch it again. But in the meantime, check out toughpigs.com on the internet. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're all over the place. You can follow Ryan on Twitter at @MeRyanRowe. And you cannot follow me on Twitter anymore. I blew it up. I exploded my Twitter account.
And you've actually managed to stay away from it.
Well, it's gone. My Twitter account's gone.
So but, you haven't started a new account.
I'd have to start from scratch, which just seems like a lot of work, you know?
Yeah.
And I would just end up following all the same people. So, no thanks. And our theme music is by Stacey Rosen. And our logo is by Morgan Davey. So thank you once again to both of them. Eric, where can our listeners find you online?
They can read my pearls of wisdom on the Tough Pigs forum.
Yeah, come check us out anytime. Eric and everyone else. We're hanging out there still.
There's a link on the front page of toughpigs.com.
Yes, we are always happy.
And you can also email us at movinrightalong@toughpigs.com.
Yes, indeed. And you can always, now is the perfect time to give us that positive review on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher. We always appreciate that. And tell everyone you've ever met to listen to Movin' Right Along. And please join us whenever it comes out for the Fantastic Miss Piggy Show. Goodbye.
Bye. Try on my stone.
I'm playing a flute and I'm boring.